Right, we are here. Fanny Hanono. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Perfect.
Awesome. Thank you
Perfect.
so much for joining me today on Leaders Talk Communications. I really appreciate your time, Fanny. Um, Diane Mora introduced us, and I was really impressed. I actually listened to your full podcast interview with her, and I was like, oh my goodness, I have to talk to this woman. Leaders Talk Communications is all about highlighting how you manage communications at your company with your staff so that other leaders can learn from you, can gain insights from you. Every conversation I have with a leader is different, and there's always something new that comes up in the way you're managing communications and your own leadership. And so we'll just jump right in, and I'll start with my first question.
Okay.
All right, so tell me about your work and what inspires you most about what you do.
So this company GFX, we manufacture automatic transmission parts, and this is a company that my father started in 1961, and
Yeah.
he got out of it. I would say about late 1990s, and I went into it full. I had already been working here, and so what we do is there's the OE market, which would be like Chrysler, Ford, and General Motors, and then there's an aftermarket, which is what we do. We manufacture the parts either in Asia, somewhere in Asia or India, and
And OE, is that original equipment?
that's original equipment. It's OEM,
Right,
actually original equipment manufacturers, and
right.
then we manufacture aftermarket parts because OEM does not sell to the aftermarket team. They do, but some parts, not all of the parts.
Right.
So we we originally had another company called Carfel, which was from 1961 until 2000. And then in 2000, we sold the assets at that company, changed the name to GFX, and
Ah,
been GFX since then. So Carfel was a bigger company in the sense that we sold everything from motorcycle parts, which was our original things we used to sell, what are called standard clutches, timing components, which are engine components. And then we sold to a very big company called Power Technologies. And they, in turn, they split the company and everything. But so we retained the assets and created GFX. And we just
um,
now stayed in, we've been almost 25 years into automatic transmission parts, which is
okay.
a car that drives an automatic transmission. We do some manual stuff for like trucks or bigger cars. And we do also now we have gotten into heavy duty parts, which are cars for those big 18 wheelers, parts for the big 18 wheelers you see. And
Uh-huh.
we've gone into a very niche market called the vintage market, which is for Volkswagens that the bug. Remember the bug when
Oh,
you were young?
yeah.
So
I
we
just
sell
saw one
parts.
yesterday.
So we
Yeah.
sell parts to repair those. That one's more of a retail, like anybody can buy from that. The other ones are
Yeah.
much more a wholesale business, and we sell really to not the guy who's going to fix your transmission, but the guy who's going to buy the parts from a distributor.
Okay. What
So,
inspired the move to provide to source the parts for the bug?
so actually, I have a gentleman. His name is Josmes Garcia, who's been with me for like 36 years. And he
Mhm.
bought himself a bug and got us into this business, honestly. So it would not have been
I
something in
love
my
that.
entire life I've ever would have done because I like a nice car with good air conditioning. Those don't have air
Yeah.
conditioning, especially living in Miami. The safety
Yeah.
of it is zero, but it's a beautiful little thing. Everybody thinks it's a toy, and people spend an inordinate amount of money
Okay.
refurbishing them. They have the Volkswagen, the big van, and they fix them up and they put tape
Yeah.
inside. I mean, it's like an entire
Yeah.
market that we got into, and there's only like two people
Yeah.
in the state of Florida who are distributors, so it's a nice little niche business. So I'm very excited
That's
about it.
excellent. I actually have a friend who owns one of those
There you go.
Volkswagen vans. Yeah, we go
Probably
for
should have
rides in
like
it, and
it was
it's
a child of his.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah, it's like a
painting
collector's
it,
thing.
adding things, putting inside, reupholstering. I mean, it's just and no air condition. I mean,
Yeah.
like not my thing. Like definitely
In
not my
South Florida.
thing.
So
Definitely.
what inspires you about what you do, about your work?
So, it's very funny. We have another company that my father also started of menswear. And I always
Oh,
say the DNA was mixed up at birth because my brother went to do the clothing and I stayed with the automatic transmission parts.
yeah.
I love this business first. It's very small. So when you think about the thousands of parts that are in a car, I mean thousands. We're
Yeah.
only a few thousand pieces, and we're just
Yeah.
one section of the car. I I love what happens in the industry. I love that I have a lot of good people working with me, really truly great people working with me. And I like that
Mm.
my business, it has a beginning and it has an ending. So a
Mm.
transmission for a Chrysler, they're only going to make for that car so many years, and after that they moved on to something more modern or works. What there was like 4 speed, 6 speed, 8 speed, 10 speeds. 10 speeds the new ones now. And I like that you make a part and it's probably going to be good for 15 or 20 years because once the car leaves the main market, it leaves warranty. A lot of people don't like cars that don't have warranty. Latin America gets a lot of the older cars. So it depends what market. And then I love that after so many years, that's the end of it. There's
Interesting. There's a
not,
beginning, a middle, and an end.
there's an ending,
Are you
and
sourcing parts to folks in Latin America?
oh yeah. So
But
I would
you're oh, so
say,
you do. Okay.
I would say about 65% of our business is overseas. We sell only like
Ah,
35% in the United States. The rest is, which is great because actually it affords us a lot of travel. People here's passports are filled with stamps. For example, I'm
yeah.
leaving to Amsterdam not next week, the week after for 10
Oh,
days.
nice.
Yeah, then I come home and then I leave a week later to Rio for the big show, an automotive show in Rio. We have a show in Mexico. Um, it's really afforded me and I think a lot of the salespeople the ability to travel worldwide. Uh,
Yeah,
if
yeah.
we have a
Hopefully you'll
show,
get to enjoy some of Amsterdam too.
yes, yes. Well, I always add a day or two to my trips, so I have
Yeah,
like a day or
yeah.
two in there. I'm actually traveling to The Hague this time, which is the ancient
Ah,
old capital. I haven't been there, so I really
yeah,
make. I mean, if I have to stay an extra 2 or 3 days, I do it because
yeah.
we also have a warehouse in Amsterdam, so I need to go see the warehouse, and so that, and then we
Okay.
have the 3 4 days of the show. So
Yeah,
as
yeah.
I get older, I need an extra day for the time change and the 10 hours on the flight, and so.
Yeah, yeah. I know. Those long haul flights get a little more difficult
Yeah,
as you
it
get
is
older.
difficult. I'll tell
I
you, I did Dubai in December, 16 and a half hours coming home.
Oh, yeah, it's
It's
brutal.
brutal. It's brutal. It's
Yeah,
brutal.
we did Japan last
Oh,
year, and that was yeah, yeah. I managed it, but So I love that you're saying this, that you love that it's got a beginning and an end. Talk to me about the different stakeholders that you're communicating with, and where you feel you thrive as Fanny in connecting with those different stakeholders. And think about employees, partners,
so I don't
clients,
have
lawyers.
any partners. Thank God. I'm very happy to have my own company. And it's every time I hear about people fighting, I'm thinking, oh my God. So we have a very nice little company. It's very niche, like I told you.
But I'm
Um,
thinking about partners with whom you might do business, you know?
So we
So,
have our strength really is our relationships in Asia. Some of the people in Asia that have been with me over 25, 30 years. I mean,
oh
literally when I was in my
wow.
20s, I met some of them. And I
Yeah.
think that says a lot about a company. Although I know the modern generation doesn't want to hear about like the companies that have a lot of history, but I pride myself on the fact
Y-
that most people today at GFX have a minimum of 8 years. Minimum 8
Wow.
years. I've
Yeah.
got my engineer in China is going on, I don't know, 25, maybe longer. My girl
Hmm.
who runs the warehouse, she's going on over 30 years. The salesman
Wow.
is going on 35. I mean, my,
So I wanna hone in on that. Like you said, you've known some of these folks in China, in Asia, sorry, for since you were in your 20s.
yes.
I want to know what it is about that you bring. And I love that you said we and our, but I want to talk specifically about Fanny's leadership. What is it that you're doing to maintain those relationships? What do you believe you bring that makes employees want to stay in your company for decades?
I think I bring a lot of humanity to the company. I think I
Mhm.
bring compassion.
Mm,
I think that I bring a lot of tolerance. I travel. I want to know about them. I want to know about their families. I want them to know about me and my family. I I want I want to understand where they come from, what made them do what they did, what university they went to, even though
mm,
most people don't know any university in China or Japan or anywhere. I grew up knowing all those, if it's the University of Harbin or if it's the university in Japan. I mean, I grew up
yeah.
understanding other cultures and being very tolerant of other cultures. I remember the first time going to Japan, my father would say, bow down when you see everybody. Don't be rude. Don't speak until you're spoken
Mm,
to. Rules that have been embedded in me forever. And
yeah, yeah.
I like that I've established relationships with vendors. I've seen them grow, like from a small
Mm,
company that we had a relationship with to these big companies that are selling a lot of people. I've also my customers. I think there's I think a woman brings something different to the table than the man. I think
yeah.
I think it's good and bad.
Interesting.
I think a woman
Mm,
is much more in tune with their personal life, and they want to have a relationship. I think women are much better establishing relationships that are longer lasting. I think
mhm,
sometimes when it's a man, like in my industry, like he can push a lot more than I can sometimes. Um,
mm,
in the aspect of like he's not like I'm much more well, I'm not going to hurt my customer by doing this. I think other businesses that are run by men think twice about, well, I'll fix it later. I want somebody to
interesting.
know that I am ethical and I would never do anything to hurt you, not on purpose anyway. And if I did something wrong to hurt
Yeah.
you, tell me. And I did do it. I'm very good about apologizing. I think people
Mhm.
have forgotten today how to apologize when they do something
Yeah. I
wrong.
mean, admit the mistake and work to
Move on.
correct it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah,
think people
yeah.
don't. I think people don't say, "I'm sorry" today. It's very hard for people today to admit they made a mistake and say, "I'm sorry." Not that I'm perfection by
Mm.
any mean, but I think that I'm very cognizant of if I made a mistake, I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah. And so you think that your role as a woman business leader makes a difference, in your relationships with clients and your relationships with employees?
I think
Yeah.
that employees are more prone to be okay with it. Also, honestly, most of my staff has been with me so long that they're okay with it. So I don't think I have.
Well,
I think it's more in my industry. They sometimes it takes them a while to take me more seriously, until they realize that I
yeah.
have a brain and I know what I'm talking about. It's a lot
Yeah.
harder for them sometimes to react to that. They'll say, "Oh, she's another woman. She doesn't know what she's doing," whatever. But
Interesting. How does that manifest itself? Like, is it a look they give you? Is it that they're not engaging in conversation the way they typically would? Like, how do you know that they're actually thinking that and engaging with you in that way? What's the sign to you that that's happening?
I never get. I said this in one of my LinkedIn posts. Like I never get invited to a golf tournament, to
Uh,
anything. But they asked me to sponsor them. Not that I play golf, I really don't honestly care. But,
yeah.
it's like everything is just very male oriented.
Mhm.
You
So it's
know,
not like, "Hey, Fanny, come and be on my foursome for the"
Nothing,
yeah. Yeah.
nothing like that, and
Interesting.
it's okay,
Mhm.
it's okay. I mean, there's another woman there's maybe 2 or 3 women who own companies, and one of them is friendly with me, and we do a lot of business together, and I'm blessed, she's in the industry, um, but there are other women who are in the industry, and they're not just the friendliest either. Maybe they see it as competition or other things, but it's a little bit more
Mm.
difficult. I think men once they learn that you are respectful, I also have a little bit of a big mouth. Maybe I'll say things to them that maybe another man might not say to them. Um, but I think that once they get to know me and they respect me, it's a mutual respect.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, thank you. Thank you for going down that path with me. I'm curious about that.
By the way, of
So,
6 salespeople, I have 2 that are women also. I mean,
hmm
like,
hmm.
I see them. It's sometimes hard for people to accept women in the industry.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, still.
Yeah, still. They
Yeah,
don't mean it. Once they get to know you, you're okay. But
right.
until they get to know you, they're a little bit harder than that.
You've got to get past that
You gotta
perception
get past the first
barrier.
impression, right?
Yeah, yeah. And I think it's important to get past that perception barrier. First of all, recognizing that it's there and that it's, whether it's right or wrong or not, it's there. And so you've got to get past that and being able to manage that as a human being and show up anyway is really important. So let's switch gears a bit. What is the number one communications challenge that you faced as a leader, and how did you handle it?
So So I thought a lot about that question of yours. I actually find I communicate better at work than I do at home. So I thought, like, how do I answer that question honestly? So I'm telling you, I think sometimes it's easier to communicate at work because people, I think, respect, like, if you're the manager, there is still a certain respect of your station or whatever, where you are in a company. But
Yeah.
my toughest communication is sometimes with my kids. I mean, it's to be honest. I mean, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
I'm a very,
That is so fair. Yeah.
I mean, it's the truth. I mean, I was
Yeah.
figuring out how to answer you, I am a very big proponent of writing things so everybody's on the same page. But then I get
Yeah.
tired of writing. I say, hey, it's time for a call, because people now have a tendency to put 12 people on an email, right? So 12 people are
Mm.
answering and 12 people. And then you have like a humongous like tail on an email, and I don't even know
Oh my.
where we are anymore. So like I said, it's enough. Email is done. Please let's pick up a phone and talk like human beings.
Yeah,
People
yeah.
people have forgotten the how nice it is to humanly talk to another human being.
Right,
And I
right.
see it like, so my kids, I have 5 children, by the way,
Mhm.
and I
Ah,
find that communication, I have I have 41, 36, 32, 26 and 25, 27, 26 and 27, and I find that each one has a different way of communicating.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I find that it's harder to communicate with them sometimes than it is to do it at work. I think at work, if you say something or you write it and you talk about it, sometimes there's no need to. People usually adhere to what you're saying and pay attention. I'm very open about people giving me their opinion, and people know that, so they're very open about giving me their opinion. But in the end, it's you're the leader and it's your company. You have to make the decision because you're gonna like the whole thing around it, the consequences and stuff. But
Yeah.
I think one of your
So
things
so
about
so
go ahead.
your biggest challenge is as communicating with your kids as a leader in your home.
Exactly,
And so
exactly.
how do you manage that though? I mean, kids
Very
kids are
poorly,
all.
very poorly, very
Oh,
poorly.
I wonder what they would say about that. I
No,
don't
I
know.
actually have very good communication, but you could tell like the generational differences, because there's like
Yeah,
14, 15 years between the older one and that. The older ones are more about calling and how's everything. Do you need something? The younger ones, they'll call me or write me once or twice a week. They'll tell you
yeah,
they love you. I mean, they're great. I don't have any complaints, but I think it's funny how you read all about these generational things, and some of them are very, very true. Um,
yeah,
I also, I've worked all my life. So, sometimes, often I travel, and they have been very blessed to be able to travel with me. They've all been to Asia
mm,
several times. They all travel a lot. And I'm a big
yeah,
proponent of traveling and understanding other people, other cultures and other worlds. So they really, they're good. But I think sometimes, like, I remember when they were younger and I'd get home, like after a whole day of work, you're exhausted. You're going to have to do dinner and homework and stuff like that. And then I'm trying to explain something, but nobody's like listening to me, you know? Like,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think also with the younger ones, I mean, we all reach this age where we begin to really appreciate our parents in ways we hadn't before when we were right. So it's like, oh my goodness, like, and we realize as we get older, our parents are getting older too. Like,
yes,
so the dynamic changes there too.
dynamic changes.
So, what's been the most successful vehicle that's allowed you to communicate with different stakeholders? Like, is it, I mean, you just talked about email, you just talked about picking up the phone. Like, what works for you really well? Like, if you have to have a difficult conversation with an employee, if you have to have a difficult conversation with a client, what works best for you? Like, how you come to that conversation? Um, Talk a bit about what what works for you.
So I'll tell you, it really depends on what type of conversation you want to have with the employee, because sometimes it's very, I think in today's world, people are not trained to confront other people. They're just not. I mean, you don't want to tell
Mhm.
somebody they're doing a lousy job, so you give them a 5 on their rating and they get a bonus, and then whatever. And then 4 years later, you're fed up with the person. You say, you know what, you're turned. And they're going, what? I've got great reviews for 4 years. You know, I think that
Yeah.
that's a big issue. I, I,
Mm.
I personally like to speak to people face to face, because if there's
Mhm.
questions and sometimes there's not misunderstandings. Sadly, with text message, emails, you don't really always know the tone of what
Yeah.
you're saying. You know, like it's
Yeah.
comes off. You're imagining the way the person's saying something, but sometimes somebody's saying it not in the way you're taking it, and they're going to get upset. So sometimes
Right.
you do it like face to face, especially if it's behavior or things like that. You don't want to put things in writing that later can come back to haunt you. You don't want to, you want them to understand where it's coming from, not just, hey,
Right.
you know, you're being, you know, this and this, but hey, this is the way you have to change because you're not keeping up with the way things are happening in the company.
Yeah. I mean, I think the face to face is
The
it's
best.
so underrated. It's really important.
Totally
Um,
underrated.
the text and email, there's this thing called low context and high context communication. Low context are like people like maybe employees or clients. Those high context are your family members who know you, who see you, and who can kind of infer from a text conversation like what you mean. But outside of that, those low context communication conversations, like I do think relying on face to face is really important. And some
I
people
think
try
it's
to
face
do
to
it
face.
with video, but even it's there's still something very, I shouldn't even say still. It is very important to have in-person conversations with folks. I don't think there's any substitute for it. And I think
There is
you
not.
know, before the pandemic, I had already been communicating and doing meetings a lot virtually. But I became heightened aware of the importance of just human contact. Like it's amazing. Like people actually have lower third parts of their bodies when you're, you
It's
know.
true.
So yeah, yeah.
You know,
Uh,
I think one of our one of our, you when you say communication, and one of our strengths is relationship, is that we travel a lot to see customers, because when you see a customer face to face, he's going to think of
yeah.
you before he thinks of the next one that's in his computer. He knows
Mm,
that you're visiting him, you're going to take him out to dinner, you're going to spend time, you care. I think that makes a huge difference, whether it's a vendor, supplier, a business partner, an employee, a face to face conversation. You know, I do not, if you, in the world of Zooms and Google and all these word things, if the person doesn't get on so I can see their face, I don't have the conversation. I will not have a Zoom conversation if I don't see the face. She goes, well, my computer. I
mhm.
said, well, I don't know. You're going to have to get it fixed. But I am not going to establish a relationship with somebody that I don't even know what you look like and who you are. You know,
Yeah, yeah. Ooh, I love that.
yeah.
Yeah, standing.
Why, Jessica, Jennifer? Do you want to have like interview me and not know what I look like and who I am and how my
No.
hands move and stuff? It's not. You don't.
No,
Ex-
I host executive roundtables with leaders, and one of my rules for those roundtables, because people are sharing very personal things, like you
Correct.
gotta come off camera. You gotta come off camera. We can do this virtually, but we have to see one another.
Exactly.
Um, yeah, yeah.
I don't have
Okay.
a call without that.
Yeah, I love that you have that rule that,
Absolutely.
and I think that that is a perfect expression of the value of relationships for you. Like you've talked about that a lot. Those relationships, being connected to people is very important to you, and you can't establish those without
You
seeing
can't.
people,
Exactly.
I also think in the age of AI, it's even more important that we establish relationships
Absolutely.
and see people face to face. I know there are folks who might have questions about, you're doing all this traveling and you're seeing people face to face. What are the environmental costs of that? And I think companies have to weigh that, what is most important. Okay, if you could wave a magic wand, I love asking this question. If you could wave a magic wand, what would you want the world to understand deeply about you or the work that you're doing at GFX?
I would like people to understand about me that I care. I care a lot about them. I care a lot about my employees. I care, needless to say, about my children and my family. Um,
Yeah,
I would like them to know that I care. I think I'm a very caring person. I'm very cognizant of people. Try and be anyway, even of my children. Um,
yeah,
I think sometimes I feel very guilty that, maybe as other moms spend so much more time with their kids, but then I wake up and I say, you know what, you've got really good kids and you have to feel good that the time you spent with them was valuable. Um,
yeah,
I
yeah,
also think,
yeah,
like I said, that they have traveled the whole world and understand other people and they speak several languages. As far as my company goes, I would love for people to understand that I am a good partner to have. I think
mm,
I really believe that once people get to know me in the company, when they do business with us, they stay for years. Uh,
yeah,
but
yeah,
I don't live in a world that's price oriented, which is sometimes hard for people to understand. Um,
mhm,
the way I look at it is I work really hard and everybody here works really hard and I'm not honestly into making 5%. I want a
mhm,
good life and I
mhm,
want everybody else to have a good life. So like sometimes people don't understand that. They want to be, oh, well, they have it at $1.60, we have it at $1.80. I mean, a good salesperson should be able to tackle that in my
mhm. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, they should be able to tackle that,
yeah, focus on the relationships, the
exactly.
service, the
And the
yeah,
service and
yeah,
the product, and if the quality is good, that's
yeah,
my opinion. So I would wave a magic wand, and I would like for people to understand that even if we are a fair mid-sized company, we can still provide a lot of help. And those who get to know us and become our partners know that. But
yeah,
there are
and
a lot of
they
companies
stay with you.
that they stay with us. But there are a lot of big companies that they only want to go with names. They don't want to go with smaller companies and try and understand that they could probably do a better business with them. And it's really very difficult to break that barrier. For me, it's
Yeah,
extremely difficult. A big company doesn't want. They do better with the small company because they get better pricing and better service and everything. But in their world, it's like,
they're
well,
going for the
we have you.
name.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah, that's unfortunate. That's a little short-sighted, I
It's
think.
very short sighted.
Especially if you can manage the capacity, you know?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your time. Listening to you talk about, that mommy guilt is so real for all of us. I assure you, your children are fine.
I'm sorry. I know that that was personal, not part of your chat, but
No,
I think
no,
I
no,
feel so guilty.
it was absolutely a part of the chat. No, it's absolutely that's real, right? As business leaders, we've got families,
We got
we've got
family.
families. My daughter will be home from spring break next week, and I'm already like, oh, okay, how can I clear my schedule to make sure I
Exactly.
spend time
How
with
do you
her?
clear your
It
schedule?
never stops. Yeah,
It never stops, right?
it
Even when you're
never
in your
stops.
20s, 30s, 40s, it never stops.
It
You
doesn't, it
know,
doesn't.
it
Well,
doesn't.
thank you so much for your
Thank
time,
you,
Fanny. I
Jennifer. It was
really
a pleasure
appreciate it.
speaking to you, and thank you
It
for
was a
all your reminders and everything. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It was great,
thank
great
you.
meeting you. Thank
Thank
you
you.
so
Great
much.
meeting
Be
you
well.
too.
All right. Bye bye,
Bye-bye.
love. Be good.